What's up guys? Welcome to part 9 of What If I Reincarnated as Yamamoto, Genryusai and Naruto, and saved the Uzumaki clan. If you like my videos, please for me, give this one a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and share it with your friends. Without wasting more of your time, I'm the Sensei signing in. Kagetsuchi, who was sent flying after being struck by an unknown force, was once again struck, propelling him towards the meteor hurtling from the sky. Another impact ensued, causing Kagetsuchi to cough up blood. The force of his trajectory intensified, hurtling him even faster towards the meteor. With a resounding boom, he collided with it, creating a massive impact crater. Struggling to recover, Kagetsuchi slowly stood up on the lower side of the fallen meteor. Suddenly, he raised a hand crackling with spiritual pressure, clutching onto something as if gripping someone's fist. Similarly, with his other hand, he mimicked the gesture, as though grasping the fist of another. Limbo technique? I had forgotten about this. Kagetsuchi muttered, his face marked with gloom. Summoning his power, he conjured 2 flame pillars that encircled the limbo clones of Madara, effectively entrapping them. With swift determination, Kagetsuchi leaped towards the ground. As he neared the Earth's surface, a tremendous surge of Ryutsu erupted from his body. Clenching both fists tightly, he let out a powerful shout. Then, employing Shunpo, he vanished from sight, reappearing to strike the meteor with a forceful double-fisted blow. A moment of silence hung in the air before the entire meteor cracked and disintegrated into fine dust. Sankotsu, double bone, even after the destruction of the meteor, 2 fire pillars formed from Kagetsuchi's immense Ryutsu remained suspended in mid-air. This showcased the extent of Kagetsuchi's formidable control over Ryutsu. Gradually, the limbo clones of Madara began to fade away, indicating a time limit to their existence. With a gentle descent, Kagetsuchi touched down on the ground and lifted his right hand. His Ryujin Jaka, his weapon, came soaring into his grasp. It slowly transformed from a katana into a wooden crutch. Simultaneously, his upper body garments materialized, and his white haori draped over his shoulders. All the cage-level powerhouses stood in awe, their gazes fixed on the sky, unable to comprehend the magnitude of what they had just witnessed. The colossal meteorite alone had the potential to obliterate their entire village, and Madara had harnessed its destructive power solely as a means to secure his escape. The shock of this realization gripped them. However, their astonishment reached new heights as they beheld Kagetsuchi, who defied all odds and demolished the meteorite with his sheer strength. This indelible image would forever be etched in their memories. Witnessing Kagetsuchi soaring through the air, initially resembling a performance, the onlookers soon recognized the truth as they witnessed his injuries. It became evident that he had not been feigning, but had genuinely been struck by an unknown force. Kagetsuchi stood there in silence, deep in contemplation, analyzing his encounter with Madara. Despite his own formidable power, he knew that killing Madara was no easy task, considering the numerous ways in which Madara could ensure his survival. Nonetheless, it was evident that Madara would not impede Kagetsuchi's plans. Nevertheless, Kagetsuchi understood the importance of remaining prepared. "Uncle, are you alright?" Mitsuo approached Kagetsuchi and inquired with concern. Kagetsuchi responded with a nod. Inoki stepped forward and asked Kagetsuchi, "Did Madara Uchiha manage to escape?" "Yes, he is undoubtedly powerful, and individuals like him often possess numerous means of escape," Kagetsuchi replied, acknowledging Madara's strength. Inoki, understanding the implications, nodded in agreement. "But why would he target you?" "It doesn't make sense," voiced the third Kazekage, clearly perplexed. After hiding for so long, why would he emerge from the shadows to engage in combat with someone he has no animosity towards? It's utterly bewildering. In a forest, there cannot be 2 lions, for their interests would clash and collide. The same holds true for individuals like me and him, Kagetsuchi calmly stated, his voice filled with contemplation. However, instead of a mere forest, this entire ninja world serves as a stage. Our paths inevitably intersect, and our conflicting ambitions and powers bring us into confrontation. He paused for a moment, reflecting on the complex dynamics at play. Madara and I may not have a personal animosity, but our roles as formidable figures in this world of shinobi necessitate a clash. It is the nature of power and influence, where only one can truly reign supreme. That is why he made his move against me, for our destinies intertwine, whether we seek it or not. As Kagetsuchi glanced towards the third Reikage from the corner of his eyes, he spoke in a measured tone, "Contain your fighting spirit. Even if I am not at my peak, it is more than sufficient for me to defeat you." With those words, he unleashed his overwhelming Ryutsu, filling the atmosphere and leaving everyone present breathless. The sheer intensity of Kagetsuchi's released Ryutsu sent ripples of awe and apprehension through the gathered individuals. "And do not fret, perhaps you all will have the honor of facing me in battle soon," Kagetsuchi cryptically remarked. A sense of bewilderment swept through the crowd as they exchanged puzzled glances. Kagetsuchi showed no intention of elaborating further, leaving them to speculate on his enigmatic statement. However, Mitsuo, perceiving the underlying meaning, comprehended Kagetsuchi's veiled message. "Let us depart. Kushina should have awakened by now," Kagetsuchi declared. With that, he utilized Shumpo, disappearing from the scene. Following closely behind were Mito, Mitsuo, and Hiruzen, leaving the perplexed onlookers to contemplate the implications of Kagetsuchi's words. Before their departure, Hiruzen took a moment to engage in a conversation with the other kage present. Recognizing the importance of fostering strong relationships and upholding peace, he emphasized the need for unity and cooperation among their respective villages. The kages departed after Kagetsuchi, along with others who joined them. After 3 hours of travel, the third Reikage finally arrived at Kumogaka. Upon entering his office, he immediately noticed his son engaged in an argument with Mabui. "You're the Reikage's assistant, and you don't even know where my father Reikage went. What kind of Reikage assistant are you?" exclaimed. Now a 16-year-old jonin in Kumogaka, A's hot-bloodedness was evident from the outset. In the midst of A's speech, he suddenly received a powerful punch to his face, sending him crashing into the wall. "You fool! Do you even realize who you're speaking to? You're addressing the Reikage's assistant, and as a jonin, this is how you should speak. Remember, you are just a contender for the Reikage position, not the Reikage himself," scolded the third Reikage. He then calmly took his seat and settled down. "Did anything happen while I was away?" the Reikage inquired of Mabui. "Nothing major. Just a small commotion since you left without any Anbu ninja or other accompanying ninjas. But it should be resolved now," Mabui replied. The Reikage mumbled in response, his mind lost in deep contemplation. Meanwhile, A managed to free himself from the wall and stood up with a flushed face. "I apologize. I was simply anxious upon witnessing my father leaving the village without any protection," as said, his gaze directed at Mabui. "It's okay. I understand," Mabui reassured. "Father, what happened that you left in such a hurry without taking a single ninja with you?" I questioned. However, the Reikage remained silent, lost in his deep thoughts, leaving both A and Mabui bewildered. "Father," Ara exclaimed loudly, attempting to snap the Reikage out of his daze. What is it?" The Reikage finally responded. "What were you thinking about? I have never seen you like this before," Ara inquired, expressing his confusion. "Yeah, I'm also puzzled," added Mabui from the side. The Reikage rose from his seat and walked toward the window of his office. He turned to face them and said, "Have you ever witnessed gods engaging in combat?" What are you talking about? Are you alright? Should I fetch a medical ninja?" Ara asked, utterly perplexed by his father's unusual behavior. "Have you heard of Uchiha Madara?" the Reikage asked, ignoring his son's surprise and posing another question. "Yes, he's known as the most powerful ninja, second only to the ninja god Senju Hashirama," Ara replied, and Mabui nodded in agreement. "He is still alive, and not only that, he fought against the fire god Uzumaki Kagetsuchi," revealed the third Reikage. "What? Uchiha Madara is still alive?" But A's words trailed off, shocked by the revelation. "Yes, we all believed he was dead, but he has somehow survived. Not only that, he has grown even stronger than before. Based on reports from the battle, it seems he has surpassed his previous power," explained the Reikage, recounting the details of the battle and mentioning the appearance of both Kagetsuchi and Madara. "Wait a minute, Reikage. The way you describe those eyes, don't you remember whose eyes they are?" interjected Mabui. "I have been racking my brain trying to remember where I've seen those eyes," the Reikage admitted, turning back and looking at Mabui. "They are the eyes of a sage of 6 paths." "How could you forget?" Mabui exclaimed, holding her head in disbelief. "You're right. How could I forget? But how in the world does Madara possess those eyes?" The Reikage was horrified, considering the immense power associated with the Sage of 6 Paths, not to mention his eyes. Now is not the time to dwell on Madara. We should focus on Uzumaki Kagetsuchi and what he mentioned before leaving. The fact that he wants the cages to face him can only mean one thing: he is planning to attack other ninja villages, Mabui pointed out. A solemn expression settled on the Reikage's face. "Order a ninjas to monitor the movements of Uzumaki village," he commanded. Similar discussions unfolded in the other villages, except for Konoha. Somewhere in the ninja world, within an underground base, a massive Jido statue loomed in silence. In this empty expanse, a persistent cough echoed, drawing attention to the bottom of the statue where Madara sat. He coughed continuously, his body bearing the wounds inflicted upon him during the battle with Kagetsuchi. Despite protecting himself with the aid of Susanoo against Kagetsuchi's final attack, Madara had still suffered injuries, primarily due to the intense heat of the fire. What kind of fire attack was that? It felt like standing before the sun itself, Madara remarked, still recovering from the intense heat. Madara-sama, as per your instructions, I have summoned back all the white Zetsus. Black Setsu emerged from the ground and stood before Madara. Excellent. Now, implant curse marks on some of the white Zetsus. If they encounter Kagetsuchi, let them retreat if possible. If retreat is not an option, instruct them to self-detonate, commanded Madara. Yes, Madara-sama, responded Black Setsu obediently. Furthermore, tomorrow it will become evident to the entire world that I am alive. Ensure that another piece of news spreads, indicating that the Uzumaki clan is preparing to capture all the tailed beasts, Uchiha Madara declared. While I won't personally interfere, I won't make it any easier for them to collect those tailed beasts either. It shall be done, Madara-sama. Black Setsu replied before disappearing into the ground, utilizing the mayfly technique. Where am I? Where is this place? Kushina's eyes fluttered open, filled with confusion as she struggled to recall her surroundings. Tsunade's face lit up with relief as she saw Kushina awakening. She approached her swiftly, providing support as she helped her sit down. You're finally awake. You have no idea the commotion that ensued when you fainted from your injury. Huh? Injured me. Kushina's voice carried confusion as she struggled to piece together the events. Gradually, her memory started to return, and she recalled the moment she had been injured, summoning her last reserves of strength to face the masked ninjas. Did you save me, Sister Tsunade? Kushina asked, her tone tinged with uncertainty, seeking confirmation of the person who had come to her rescue. No, I wasn't the one who saved you. It was your great-grandfather, Tsunade explained, her mind filled with memories of Kagetsuchi's powerful presence when he arrived in Konoha. Grandpa, where is he? I don't see him, Kushina inquired anxiously, her gaze scanning the room in search of her beloved grandparent. He left Konoha for some reason, Tsunade replied. Left Konoha? But why? Kushina inquired, her voice filled with curiosity and concern. We don't know the exact reason. He simply ordered your grandfather to apprehend the culprit who attacked you and departed hastily, Tsunade explained, her expression reflecting her own puzzlement. Who is the culprit? Kushina asked, her tone now tinged with anger as she processed Tsunade's words. It was Denzo, the leader of Root from our own village, Tsunade revealed, her voice carrying a mix of disappointment and frustration at the actions of their own village's elder. The same guy whose hands were cut off by my grandpa years ago, Kushina questioned, seeking confirmation that the culprit and the person from her grandfather's past were indeed one and the same. Tsunade nodded solemnly in response, affirming Kushina's assumption. How dare he? Doesn't he realize who my grandpa is? Kushina exclaimed, her disbelief and indignation evident in her voice. I've told you many times that a human doesn't need much in life, but hope. Hope that they can perform their tasks flawlessly. He had that hope knowing that there might be a chance to seek revenge on me. That's why he attacked you and almost succeeded, said Kagetsuchi, who stood at the room's entrance. Behind him, Mito, Mitsuo, and Hiruzen followed closely. Upon seeing Kagetsuchi, Tsunade stepped aside to allow him to speak with Kushina. Grandpa. Kushina attempted to sit up straight, but her injuries hindered her movement. No need to force yourself. Lie down, Kagetsuchi gently advised, allowing Kushina to rest. You disappointed me, said Kagetsuchi with disappointment on his face. Sorry, Grandpa. I have disappointed you. I should have emerged victorious in that battle, Kushina expressed remorsefully. I am disappointed in you, but not because of the battle. In the battle, you performed splendidly. However, you have disappointed me with your behavior within Konoha. Why did you contradict a Hokage while standing in his village? Do you possess the strength to escape from or overpower everyone in Konoha? No, you do not. Furthermore, you killed the Genin team of Konoha. While I understand and may even agree with your reasons, the question remains. Do you possess the strength to fight against Konoha? Again, the answer is no. So, what gave you the audacity to take such actions? It was my strength, Kagetsuchi reprimanded Kushina, his tone stern. Continuing his lecture, Kagetsuchi added, I have repeatedly emphasized to you and the Uzumaki family that you should not rely on my name and strength to achieve your own goals. Instead, build your own power and strength to accomplish them. I am merely your support. However, if there is ever any injustice, then I will intervene. After all, we are connected by blood. Sorry, Grandpa. I will remember this and never repeat my mistakes, Kushina conveyed with a sincere expression on her face. Kagetsuchi nodded approvingly and responded, rest well. We will depart tomorrow morning. Leaving the room, Kagetsuchi's expression turned cold as he directed his gaze towards Hiruzen. His voice held a stern tone as he questioned, why is Danzo still alive? Hiruzen, drenched in cold sweat, responded, his actions were indeed heinous. As the Hokage, it is my duty to ensure he faces a trial before the village, and is punished accordingly. Is that so? Or were you hoping that I would perish while your comrade would be spared? Kagetsuchi retorted, his voice filled with a cold, accusatory tone. No, not at all. What I said was the genuine reason, Hiruzen replied, hastily wiping the sweat from his face. I have a purpose for keeping you alive. Otherwise, I would have eliminated you alongside him, Kagetsuchi declared with an icy tone, exerting pressure on Hiruzen. He continued, commanding, go and fetch Danzo here. I will bring Danzo here immediately. Hiruzen affirmed and swiftly departed. Once Hiruzen left, he made his way to his office. To his surprise, both of his friends, Kaharu and Hamura, were seated there alongside Tsukumo. They had received news of Hiruzen's return, and Danzo was also present, urged by Kaharu and Hamura to be present. Tsukumo, on the other hand, had been hesitant to allow Danzo to leave prison. What happened, Hiruzen? Was there no clash between Kagetsuchi and Madara? How is it possible for him to return alive? Danzo bombarded Hiruzen with a flurry of questions as soon as he entered the office. Enough. At your level, you should be able to comprehend the magnitude of the battle. Hiruzen snapped back, his voice filled with anger. Hiruzen was right. As a cage-level powerhouse, he sensed two huge chakra pressures colliding. Are you saying Kagetsuchi defeated Madara? Danzo asked, his expression filled with disbelief. Not only Madara lost, but he had to flee to save his own life, Hiruzen responded. After the anger subsided, Hiruzen's face returned to a state of calm. He continued, I warned you before, Danzo, but you didn't listen. Now you know what awaits you. So, don't worry, Hiruzen. Everything I did was for the sake of Konoha, and I have no regrets. However, I have one last request for you. Rather than being punished according to village rules, I ask that you take me to Kagetsuchi, Danzo said, making his plea. Hiruzen was taken aback by Danzo's proposal, but since Kagetsuchi had instructed him to bring Danzo, he didn't hesitate. He agreed and, followed by Tsukumo, Kaharu, and Hamura, he led Danzo towards Kagetsuchi. Inside the Senju clan compound, Kagetsuchi was sitting on a chair with his eyes closed, holding his crutch with both hands. At that moment, Hiruzen arrived with Danzo and others, standing in front of Kagetsuchi. Kagetsuchi slowly opened his eyes and looked at Danzo. With a calm expression, he said, you know, I made a mistake. I should have killed you that day. My only reason for sparing you was your ambition for the Hokage position. You were willing to go to any lengths and eliminate any competitors from your own village, which would weaken Konoha. However, after I cut off your hands, it became apparent that seeking revenge on the Uzumaki clan and me became your top priority. Becoming Hokage became secondary, and even if you had achieved that title, you would have still sought to exact revenge on me or my family in some way. Danzo started walking in Kagetsuchi's direction and spoke, you are right. The day you cut off my hands and compared our small families to mere dogs in comparison to your large family, I felt incredibly humiliated. You big clans are born with good bloodlines, and at least a few of you have the capability to become as strong as cage-level shinobi. You are rich with numerous ninjutsu creations, thanks to your talents. And what are we? We, the small clans, work tirelessly day and night. One day, you big clans will toss ninjutsu at us as if throwing bones to your dogs. That's the kind of humiliation my father and even my grandfather experienced because of this disparity. That's why I hate big clans and will do anything to completely eradicate them. First, it was the turn of your Uzumaki family, then it would have been the Senju clan, and finally, it would have been the Uchiha family. But all of this didn't happen solely because of you. The way you humiliated me made me understand how my father must have felt during those days. Uzumaki Kagetsuchi, I have only one regret. That day when my root ninjas ambushed your granddaughter, I should have been there. At least then, I could have killed her with my own hands, said Danzo with a smirk. Hearing this, Kagetsuchi stood up, and his Ryutsu reached its peak. Danzo, who was standing straight, bent in half, and Kagetsuchi's face turned completely cold, void of any expression. Haha, Uzumaki Kagetsuchi, no matter how powerful you may be, you can't escape this. Come, let's die together. Ha ha ha. With madness on his face, Danzo laughed loudly and tore his upper body clothes, revealing the reverse 4 symbols ceiling. "Hiruzen, my friend, this is the last thing I'll do for Konoha," said Danzo, prepared to die alongside Kagetsuchi. Back in number 73, Tozenshima. Kagetsuchi raised his finger towards Danzo, and a point of light formed, creating an inverted pyramid around Danzo as its center, trapping him inside. However, all the black blood coming out of Danzo's body remained trapped within the pyramid, rendering Danzo's movements completely useless. "Your courage is commendable, but you don't have the strength to back it up. What you said is correct, but it's a reflection of human nature. I will let you die in peace. But first, let me ask you, what was your clan's attitude towards the civilians? Did your clan treat them as friends or merely tools for your use, as you mentioned earlier? Or did you treat them as dogs? If you treated them the way you were treated, then you have no right to question me or any other big family. You know, when I was young, I never treated anyone from smaller families like dogs. Instead, I treated them as subordinates, and showed them care to demonstrate modesty towards my subordinates. I even stopped my father and elders from mistreating them. Later, my father sent me to observe how ninjas from smaller families behave towards civilians. I witnessed those ninjas treating them like maggots, committing various atrocities against the weak civilians. From that point on, all small families became like dogs to me, and I kept them on a leash to prevent them from harming civilians. I did my best to avoid killing any civilians. So, people like you have no right to pass judgment. I am well aware of how your Shimura clan operated," said Kagetsuchi. Finally, a huge black sphere formed inside the inverted prison, but it was unable to break free from its confines. After a few minutes, the effect of Danzo's move dissipated, and his lifeless body fell to the ground. Hiruzen approached and stood in front of Danzo's body, wearing a sorrowful expression and tears in his eyes. Despite the unfavorable actions Danzo had taken against the village, he had also paved a clear path for Hiruzen and ensured the stability of his Hokage position. In a true sense, Danzo was his best friend. Danzo's other friends also shed tears at his passing, as they had spent a considerable amount of time with him and had undertaken numerous missions together. Kagetsuchi left them to mourn and retired to rest, having spent the entire day traveling and fighting. After Kagetsuchi left, Mito and Mitsuo also left. After hearing Danzo's statement, they controlled themselves and refrained from doing anything excessive, otherwise, Danzo's corpse wouldn't even be here. Only Hiruzen and his friends remained. He looked towards Tsukumo and said, "Go and arrange for Danzo's funeral. Inform all the clan heads about this, and also inform the Shimura clan." Tsukumo nodded upon hearing Hiruzen's words, and left to make the necessary arrangements. Soon, the entire Konoha ninjas became aware of what had happened inside the Senju clan, and learned the reason why Danzo was killed. Recalling the dominance displayed by Kagetsuchi a few years ago, and Danzo's attempt to kill Kagetsuchi's granddaughter, it was clear that seeking one's own death was equivalent to such actions. A few big clan heads were already aware of the reason, so they didn't react as surprised, since they had already anticipated it happening when Kagetsuchi was involved. However, where Kagetsuchi had hurriedly gone after arriving to Konoha still remained a mystery to them. After an hour, a few Jonin and clan heads gathered for Danzo's funeral. Although his actions were controversial, Danzo was not a nobody. He hadn't been declared a rebel, and had served as the previous head of Root and a member of the Konoha Council. Therefore, it was necessary for the clan heads to attend his funeral. The ceremony itself embodied a sense of simplicity, devoid of any elaborate pronouncements or grandeur. Yet, within the hearts of those in attendance, a myriad of emotions welled up, encompassing sorrow, reflection, and, indeed, mourning. However, the true extent of each individual's genuine lamentation for Danzo remained a matter of intrigue, concealed within the depths of their own thoughts and sentiments. The following morning, Kagetsuchi was prepared to depart and awaited the arrival of Kishina and the others. In that moment, Mito approached Kagetsuchi and expressed her concern, saying, "Uncle, are you feeling well? After yesterday's battle, you must be tired. Why not take a few days to rest before leaving?" "I am fine," Kagetsuchi responded. "The fight with Madara was yesterday, and a night of rest is more than sufficient for me. Besides, I cannot afford to delay. I have personal plans to set in motion, and there is a possibility that certain information may have been leaked by someone. Thus, I must act swiftly." Mito nodded upon hearing Kagetsuchi's words and responded, "Mitsuo has informed me about your plans, and honestly, I share the disappointment in the decisions made by Tobirama and Hashirama. I am weary of this existence and fully prepared to depart without any regrets. I do not seek your sacrifice or anyone else's, Kagetsuchi clarified. As I have mentioned before, I will never sacrifice a member of my own family to achieve my goals. He continued, furthermore, you are not aware that it is not always the case that a Jinchuriki dies after the tailed beast is extracted from them. I have discovered a way to prevent the death of the Jinchuriki once the extraction takes place. At that moment, Kishina arrived alongside Mitsuo, Uzumaki Hiroshi, and Uzumaki Sakura. Observing that everyone was prepared, Kagetsuchi nodded in their direction and uttered, now that everyone is ready, let us depart. After bidding their farewells, Kagetsuchi departed with Kishina and the rest, and Mito accompanied them until the gate of Konoha village. Take care, Grandma Mito. If all goes well, we will meet again soon, Kishina expressed while embracing Mito. Of course, you take care too, Mito replied affectionately. Afterward, Kagetsuchi and the others departed. At that moment, Hiruzen was reading the information in his hands with a solemn expression on his face, reflecting his seriousness. A few minutes earlier, as he was getting ready to bid farewell to Kagetsuchi as a gesture of goodwill, an Anbu ninja hurriedly approached him. What's the matter? Why are you in such a rush? Hiruzen inquired. Hokage-sama, please read this information. It will become clear, replied the Anbu ninja. I will read it later. Right now, I have an important matter to attend to, Hiruzen responded. You must read this, Hokage-sama. After reading the message, you will understand. It was sent by someone who identified himself as a messenger of Madara Uchiha, the Anbu stated, nervously swallowing. If it were any ordinary information, Hiruzen would have disregarded it and prioritized seeing Kagetsuchi off. However, upon hearing that the message was sent by Uchiha Madara, he had to take it seriously. He promptly took the scroll and, as he read it, he was shocked. The information revealed that the Uzumaki clan, specifically Uzumaki Kagetsuchi, was preparing to capture all the tailed beasts and had made the necessary preparations. Now the pieces are falling into place. This must be the reason why Madara and Kagetsuchi fought. Madara must have desired the tailed beasts for his own use. But upon realizing that Kagetsuchi was also preparing to do the same, he was compelled to take action after years of hiding. Hiruzen said, coming to a realization. Hiruzen wasn't the only one who received this information. All the other Kage also received the same news and came to the same conclusion as Hiruzen. The Raikage too now understood the true meaning behind the statement, perhaps you will have the honor of fighting me soon. Go and call all the clan heads for an urgent meeting. This matter needs to be discussed thoroughly, and some facts have to be presented before all the ninjas. Hiruzen ordered the Anbu ninja. The Anbu ninja, utilizing the body flicker technique, disappeared from the Hokage's office to convey the message for the emergency meeting. Within half an hour, every Junin was present at the Chunin exam venue. As usual, Hiruzen didn't arrive last. In fact, he was already present before anyone else even arrived. This caused considerable confusion among the Junins, wondering what had made the Hokage so serious. Hiruzen, what has happened that you called for an emergency meeting? Asked Kaharu. You will find out once the meeting begins, said Hiruzen. Today, I'm sure you are all quite perplexed as to why I have called for this emergency meeting. However, the matter at hand is incredibly serious and demands the utmost caution, explained Hiruzen. Some of the sensory ninjas should have detected a significant chakra fluctuation originating from the Earth Country. You might have assumed that this fluctuation was a result of a tailed beast conflict. However, it was caused by a clash between Madara Uchiha and Kagetsuchi Uzumaki, clarified Hiruzen. Just as Hiruzen's voice trailed off, the Junins below began muttering and engaging in discussions amongst themselves. They posed basic questions, such as how this could be possible, and whether Madara Uchiha wasn't already deceased. Numerous queries of this nature filled the air. In the midst of this, the clan head of the Uchiha clan stood up and exclaimed in astonishment, "What? How is this possible? He died decades ago at the hands of the first Hokage, Senju Hashirama. That battle was witnessed personally by me, as well as all the other Kage of the major villages. We observed the fierce confrontation between Madara Uchiha and Kagetsuchi Uzumaki, and the outcome of the battle was the defeat of Madara Uchiha. However, he managed to escape from the battlefield," explained Hiruzen. "But how is this possible?" said the clan head of the Uchiha. "For now, I am not inclined to delve into further details. The specifics of the battle will be shared with all the Junin, so that we can be prepared for any future encounters. Just be aware that Madara is indeed alive, and this has been confirmed," clarified Hiruzen. "While the initial information I provided is significant, it alone doesn't warrant an emergency meeting. The second piece of information that I received just an hour ago is far more alarming and demands our immediate attention," added Hiruzen. Upon hearing Hiruzen's words, the The Junin and everyone present were utterly bewildered. They were at a loss for words, and couldn't fathom what the second information could entail. The second piece of information is that Kagetsuchi Uzumaki is plotting an attack on every major village, with the intention of capturing the tailed beasts. This information was conveyed by Madara Uchiha himself, disclosed Hiruzen. Hiruzen, what are you talking about? Are you implying that the information you received came from Madara Uchiha, and you chose to believe it? Questioned Hamura. Yes, we cannot simply believe the information sent by Madara Uchiha and assume it to be correct, stated Koharu. Hiruzen raised his hand, silencing others, and continued, under normal circumstances, I wouldn't have believed this news either. However, consider this. Madara, who has been in hiding for many years, suddenly emerges and risks exposing himself to engage in a battle with Kagetsuchi, ultimately killing him. Why would he take such a significant risk? According to my theory, it is likely that Madara received information about Kagetsuchi's plan to capture all the tailed beasts. Perhaps Madara's own goal was also to capture the tailed beasts, and therefore, he sought to eliminate Kagetsuchi as an obstacle. Upon hearing Hiruzen's words and his reasoning, every Junin fell silent, deep in thought. Each Junin arrived at the same plausible conclusion put forth by Hiruzen. When everyone was engrossed in discussion and deep in thought, Nara Shinichi, the clan head of the Nara clan, stood up and declared, I agree with Hokage-sama's theory. There can be no better explanation for this. Hokage-sama, what should be our next course of action? Inquired Shinichi. I won't offer any preliminary remarks. Once all of you have reviewed the battle details of Kagetsuchi Uzumaki and Madara Uchiha, we can then proceed with further discussions, replied Hiruzen, his expression filled with uncertainty. Alright, after you have all examined the battle details, we will reconvene for another meeting at noon, announced Hiruzen, concluding the gathering. Such meetings took place throughout the ninja world. Even small ninja villages like the Rain Village received news of Madara being alive, as Hanzo was present during the battle. However, upon witnessing the arrival of the five-kage from the major villages, Hanzo chose not to make an appearance. He decided to abandon the idea of attacking Konoha for the time being, and instead observe how events unfolded in the ninja world. Meanwhile, the major villages commenced discussions on countermeasures for the impending attack by Uzumaki Kagetsuchi. In the evening, a short distance away from the Uzumaki country, an army of red-haired Uzumaki clan members could be seen swiftly advancing. They were led by Fuzo, heading towards Konoha. Suddenly, Fuzo felt a signal and promptly instructed everyone to halt. Those with keen sensory abilities understood the signal, while those without such abilities were left confused, but complied nonetheless. Finally, Kagetsuchi and others came into view. Fuzo moved forward and greeted, Grand Uncle, it's good to see you and Father well. When you left in such a rush, I thought something had happened to Kushina that necessitated your immediate departure. Everything is fine now, but why do you have an army with you? Questioned Kagetsuchi. I thought you might need assistance, so I gathered the army to support you, replied Fuzo. No need for that. Return to the Uzumaki country, and we will discuss things further there, stated Kagetsuchi. Fuzo nodded and issued the order for the army to return to the Uzumaki village. Finally, it has been a span of 2 hours since Kagetsuchi's return. Within this time frame, news of the events in Konoha swiftly circulated, reaching the ears of everyone. They became aware of the intense battle between Kagetsuchi and Madara Uchiha, which significantly altered the perception of the Uzumaki clan members regarding Kagetsuchi's strength. Although they already recognized his power, they never anticipated his victory over Madara Uchiha, who had been renowned as the sole contender capable of challenging Hashirama in a one-on-one fight. Mitsuo's account shed light on the situation, indicating that Madara had further amplified his abilities, potentially surpassing even the formidable Hashirama Senju in his prime. In the meeting room, Kagetsuchi sat in the main seat with Fuzo and Mitsuo beside him. The remaining attendees consisted of both new and older elders, the latter having devoted themselves primarily to the development of sealing tools. Now that everyone is gathered, we will discuss a few crucial matters pertaining to our plan's advancement, Kagetsuchi began. Firstly, regarding the sealing tools that I had requested you all to research and create, how is the progress? One of the older elders spoke up, saying, it has been completed and can be used to seal the tailed beast without any issues. Good. Kagetsuchi nodded in approval. Now, what is the status of our army? How much progress have they made in their training? Kagetsuchi inquired. Fuzo, who was seated beside Kagetsuchi, responded, we have an army consisting of 3,500 ninjas, out of which 400 are Uzumaki clan members. The rest are civilians who have been trained to work for us. Among these 400 Uzumaki clan ninjas, only 120 individuals are capable of utilizing the fire secret technique. That is also commendable. It is a source of pride to have 120 individuals who have mastered the fire secret technique along with the accomplishment of training such a large number of ninjas. Kagetsuchi praised the Uzumaki clan members who had mastered the fire secret technique, and expressed his appreciation for their efforts in training the vast number of ninjas. Everyone had smiles on their faces after receiving praise from Kagetsuchi. Although it is more than enough for me alone to single-handedly defeat and capture every village and tailed beast, doing so would undermine the power and battle experience of our trained ninjas. As you know, battle experience holds great significance for a ninja. Therefore, I am assigning you the task of capturing the Seven Tails, Kagetsuchi declared. The Seven Tails is currently under the control of Takigaka, which is the only small village aside from the major ones to possess a tailed beast, Fuso explained. Correct. I want you to capture the Seven Tails and bring it to the Uzumaki country, Kagetsuchi affirmed. What about the others? Mitsuo inquired. I will handle the rest, Kagetsuchi stated. But going alone doesn't seem like a good idea. I will accompany you, Mitsuo offered. I'll be blunt, Mitsuo. If you were to follow me, you would only hinder my progress. I am more than capable of handling this task on my own, Kagetsuchi responded. Although Kagetsuchi's words may have seemed harsh, they held truth. Understanding this, Mitsuo replied, I understand, uncle. Very well. The day after tomorrow will mark the beginning of our plan, Kagetsuchi announced. Everyone in the room nodded, wearing solemn and serious expressions. While Takigaka posed no threat to their cage-level ninjas like Mitsuo and Fuso, the main challenge lay in minimizing casualties among the lower-ranking members of the army, such as the genin and chunin. After the conclusion of the meeting, everyone left the room, except for Kagetsuchi, Fuso, and Mitsuo. However, before they could depart, Kushina entered the room and expressed her desire to participate in the upcoming war. Grandpa, I also want to be part of the upcoming war, she said. Why? Kagetsuchi questioned. I am aware of my weaknesses. Despite my rigorous training and ability to defeat anyone below the rank of elite jonin, I have never faced a truly life-threatening battle, except for the encounter with the root ninjas. That experience made me even stronger, and I believe I can surpass my previous self, explained Kushina. That's a valuable realization. You will indeed participate in the war, and if any unexpected situations arise, I will be there to support you if needed, Kagetsuchi assured her. After discussing a few matters and sharing recent experiences, everyone departed to their respective homes. At the same time, inside Kumogaka, Mabui entered the Reikage's office and said, Reikage, I have brought a messenger from Iwagaka to meet with you. With that, the messenger from Iwagaka entered the Reikage's office. Greetings, Reikage-sama. My name is Daichi, and I am here on behalf of the Tsuchikage with a message. Daichi introduced himself. Go ahead, said the Reikage. The Tsuchikage acknowledges the formidable power of Kagetsuchi and recognizes that defeating him is nearly impossible. Therefore, he suggests that we form an alliance and face Kagetsuchi together. To discuss this matter further, the Tsuchikage has called for a five-kage meeting and extended an invitation to you, Daichi explained while presenting the Reikage with an official scroll containing the invitation. The Reikage turned his gaze towards Mabui, his eyes filled with anticipation, and he calmly asked, What are your thoughts on this matter? Mabui, taking a moment to gather her words, replied, The sentiments expressed by the Tsuchikage resonate with the minds of every kage from the major villages. Therefore, it is crucial that we engage in a comprehensive discussion to devise a strategy to combat Kagetsuchi and safeguard our precious tailed beasts from falling into his clutches. The Reikage, visibly acknowledging the gravity of the situation, nodded approvingly. His gaze then shifted towards Daichi, and with a firm tone, he inquired, Very well. I will make it a point to attend this kage meeting. However, could you enlighten me on the proposed schedule for this gathering? Daichi, fully aware of the urgency surrounding the issue at hand, responded promptly. Given the unpredictable nature of Kagetsuchi's potential attacks, the Tsuchikage emphasized the need for expediency. He suggested that convening the meeting as early as tomorrow would be the most prudent course of action. A pensive expression crossed the Reikage's face as he mulled over Daichi's words. After a brief moment, he spoke decisively, Understood. We shall indeed hold the meeting tomorrow as suggested. Expressing his gratitude, Daichi bowed respectfully and said, Thank you, Reikage-sama. With your permission, I would like to request leave. Granting the request with a nod, the Reikage bid Daichi farewell, and the latter left the Reikage's office to attend to his other responsibilities. Meanwhile, news of the impending meeting reached Konoha, prompting Hiruzen to make the decision to participate. The invitations extended by Iwagaka had been dispatched to all the major villages, aiming for a unified front against the threat of Kagetsuchi. Although Inoki had initially entertained the idea of inviting Hanzo as well, the Iron Country vehemently opposed it, citing their long-standing animosity with Omegaka and specifically Hanzo. Consequently, Inoki relented and restricted the invitations to the 5 major villages alone, ensuring a focused gathering of key leaders. On one hand, as every kage from the major villages made their way towards the Iron Country for the 5-kage meeting, preparations for battle were underway in the Uzumaki village. Kagetsuchi himself was present observing the military preparations, and the Uzumaki ninjas greeted him respectfully from time to time, receiving nods of acknowledgement in return. Amidst this, a ninja approached Fuzo and whispered something in his ear. Fuzo's expression changed immediately, prompting him to rush over to Kagetsuchi. He addressed him urgently. "Grand Uncle, there is news from Konoha, or rather, news from all the major villages." Curious, Kagetsuchi asked with interest, what kind of news? I'm quite eager to know what's happening in the major villages, especially since they have discovered my plans to capture all the tailed beasts. I'm confident that Madara has ensured this news spreads. Fuzo replied, "Your prediction was correct. The major villages have indeed received news that you are planning to capture all the tailed beasts, and interestingly, Madara himself sent the message. As a result, the major villages have concluded that the conflict between you and Madara revolves around the tailed beasts." Kagetsuchi nodded, acknowledging the accuracy of his guess, and inquired further, anything else? Fuzo continued, "The major villages have decided to convene a 5-kage meeting, and it is likely to take place today." Kagetsuchi's eyebrows arched in surprise, and he remarked, "Shinobi allied forces against me, eh?" The thought brought a chuckle to his lips, reminiscent of the scenario that unfolded when Madara was resurrected. "Fuzo, what does this mean to you?" asked Kagetsuchi. "It means that the major villages would attack us before you can attack them, and if they bring the fight here, it will affect your mentality. You will be conservative while attacking them because you will have to think of the safety of the Uzumaki people," said Fuzo. By this time, Kishina and Mitsuo also arrived and heard Fuzo's words. They nodded, agreeing with Fuzo's statement. "You are right, but ultimately, it comes down to them declaring war on me," said Kagetsuchi. Then he turned towards Kishina and said, "What do you think? How will an elephant feel, react, and be when challenged by an ant?" Kishina pondered for a moment and said, "The elephant will show disdain towards the ant at first, but it will also feel humiliated that an ant dares to challenge him." "Exactly. How dare they declare war on me? Only I have the right to declare war on them," said Kagetsuchi. "It seems that I will have to go there uninvited." "Where did you say the meeting is being held?" said Kagetsuchi. "It will take place in the neutral country, the Iron Country," replied Fuzo. Get ready and win this battle." "Don't let me down," said Kagetsuchi. Fuzo nodded and went to the high platform from where he could see the members. Addressing them, he said, "You all have trained very hard and have received resources, thanks to our elder Uzumaki Kagetsuchi. Now is the time for us to show him that the resources he gave us were not wasted, but were invested in a good place. So, tell me, are you all willing to give your all to make our Uzumaki country stronger than ever before?" "Yes, we are willing to give our lives to make our country stronger," everyone replied in unison. Fuzo nodded at this and, after getting permission from Kagetsuchi to depart, they left. Finally, the army from the Uzumaki country departed. This was seen by spies from different major villages, who also left in a hurry. Although they were noticed by the Uzumaki family members, they were left alive on purpose, due to an unwritten rule between the major villages. If they killed the spies from the other major villages, their own spies would also be killed by those major villages. In the tranquil evening, inside the majestic main building of the Iron Country, where the highly anticipated meeting was to take place, the third Tsuchikage, Inoki, was comfortably seated in the meeting room, patiently awaiting the arrival of the other esteemed cages. Behind the thick, regal curtains that adorned the meeting room, the imposing figure of Umshai, the four-tailed Jinchuriki, stood as a formidable guardian alongside Katsuchi, Inoki's loyal son, who had assumed the duty of protecting his revered father. Their presence added an air of strength and vigilance to the room. Similarly, concealed behind the velvety curtain behind the third Kazakage, stood Pakura and Rasa, two trusted individuals entrusted with the vital task of safeguarding the Kazakage. Their watchful eyes surveyed the surroundings, ever ready to spring into action should any threat arise. Just as the atmosphere brimmed with anticipation, the entrance of Hokage Hiruzen Saratobi brought a sense of importance and authority. Accompanied by his dedicated guards, Tsukumo, Hatake and Orochimaru, Hiruzen exchanged nods of acknowledgement with the assembled leaders. Tsukumo and Orochimaru discreetly positioned themselves behind the curtain, providing an additional layer of protection to their revered leader. Following in swift succession, the Mizukage made his grand entrance, flanked by 2 elite members of the renowned Seven Swordsmen. Taking his rightful place among the esteemed gathering, the Mizukage gracefully settled into his seat, while the swordsman gracefully retreated behind the cascading curtains, vanishing like ethereal shadows. Last but not least, the Reikage made a commanding entrance, accompanied by his trusted guards, including his indomitable son A and his efficient secretary Mabu. Displaying unwavering unity, the Reikage and his entourage assumed their designated positions, with the guards silently taking their positions behind him, poised and alert. As the 5-kages found their seats, the room took on a symmetrical elegance, forming a harmonious U-shaped arrangement. Seated in the midst of this distinguished assembly was the general of the Iron Country, radiating an aura of authority and purpose. Flanking him were his 2 steadfast guards, who stood tall and unwavering, prepared to defend their leader at all costs. Breaking the hushed silence, the general of the Iron Country rose from his seat, his voice resonating with confidence and respect. I extend my warmest welcome to each and every one of you, esteemed guests, to this auspicious 5-kage summit. The purpose of convening this momentous gathering is twofold: to deliberate on a comprehensive strategy for protecting the tailed beasts from falling into the clutches of Uzumaki Kagetsuchi, the formidable fire god, and to engage in profound discussions concerning the strengthening of our sacred alliance. With these words, the stage was set for a crucial exchange of ideas and strategies that would shape the fate of the shinobi world as the leaders of the 5 great nations prepared to navigate the treacherous path ahead. Inoki cleared his throat, drawing the attention of the room, and said with conviction, "This 5-Hokage summit was called by me, and the reason, as you all know, is that based on the information we received, it has become abundantly clear that Uzumaki Kagetsuchi is meticulously planning to capture the formidable tailed beast for his own nefarious purposes. Allow me to be brutally honest. If Kagetsuchi were to launch an attack on Iwagaka, solely to acquire the tailed beast, the sheer magnitude of destruction it would inflict upon our village would be catastrophic, leaving little chance for survival." With a scowl etched across his face, Reikage retorted disdainfully, "HMPH. Since when did you become such a spineless coward, Inoki?" Fueled by anger, Inoki's voice reverberated throughout the room as he shot back, "WHO are you calling a coward? It's as if you conveniently forgot about the momentous battle between Kagetsuchi and Madara. That fight transcended anything we have ever witnessed before, pushing the boundaries of power and resilience. And let us not forget, you lacked the audacity to even confront Kagetsuchi, who valiantly clashed with Madara for an extended period, even though he wasn't at the pinnacle of his strength. Yet, here you stand, labeling me a coward." Standing upright on his seat, his voice dripping with intensity, Inoki continued, "I am well aware that my ability to overcome Kagetsuchi's might relies heavily on his momentary vulnerability, allowing me to unleash my particle style. It is only through exploiting such an opening that I stand a chance against him." Looking around the room, Inoki proposed, "Therefore, I propose that we consolidate our forces, pooling our collective strength and resources, and confront Kagetsuchi as a united front. Only by combining our might can we hope to withstand his onslaught and emerge victorious. What say you, esteemed Hokage?" I wholeheartedly agree with the Tsuchikage's perspective. It is only through the unification of our individual strengths that we can harbor even the slightest hope of effectively combating Kagetsuchi Uzumaki. Moreover, it is our Konoha village that has borne the brunt of his malice the most, intensify the urgency of our collective response. Therefore, I firmly support this proposition, and am clearly prepared to stand shoulder to shoulder in battle, voiced Hiruzen, his conviction resonating in his words. Though I must confess my personal dislike to the notion of fighting alongside others, I recognize the stark reality that this represents a sole opportunity to safeguard our village, and the precious Jinchuriki within it, conceded the 3rd Reikage, his sentiments tinged with reluctance. In light of the danger looming over us like a sword poised to strike, I concur with my esteemed counterparts that it is crucial, at least for the time being, to set aside our inherent differences and laser focus our collective energies on neutralizing the imminent threat named Kagetsuchi, affirmed the 3rd Kazekage, his voice echoing with the weight of responsibility. As an eyewitness to the calamity that transpired, I wholeheartedly align myself with this consensus. Our shared objective is to forge a united front against our common adversary, leaving us with no alternative but to join forces and courageously withstand whatever trials may lie ahead. 3rd Mizukage declared, his words carrying an air of unwavering determination. And that concludes part 9. The story will continue in the next part. If you liked what you watched, let us know by giving us a thumbs up, subscribing to the channel, and hitting the notification bell to ensure you don't miss the next part. Have a great day. This is Onma Sensei signing off. Check out my other anime what ifs.